What's going on, everybody? This is Randall Barnes, the founder of HBCU Pulse and the host of HBCU Pulse Radio, here with another review of College Chill Celebrity Edition, Season 3, Episode 2. Listen, they always drop the 2 episodes. Had to space it out. Shout out to everyone that watched the first episode that might just be back for the second episode, because listen, when I watch College Chill Celebrity Edition, there's always something to talk about, and I gotta share my frustration with everything that's going on, because I did like a sort of a typical recap of episode 1. This episode, although it was very entertaining, I'm a big fan of College Chill Celebrity Edition, there were some things that aggravated me that I want to get off my chest, and I got a couple days to really process it before episode 3, which I think will once again irritate me. So let's go on and get into it. Let's talk about Karlous Miller and Saucy Santana, because I honestly don't believe either one of them will make it to the end of this season. So at the end of the first episode, we learned of Karlous Miller's thoughts on homelessness, because in Dr. Frazier's political science class, his overlapping assignment is that the cast members and the members of the class are going to write a bill and propose the bill to a U.S. congressman that went to Xavier University of Louisiana that addresses homelessness, specifically in Louisiana and specifically in New Orleans. And Karlous Miller had a whole fit because he believes it is not on the regular everyday people to combat homelessness. It is on the folks in power. And in the first recap, I talked about how, hey, I agree with Karlous's premise that it is on our elected leaders to use their power and the money that they have control over and their platform to address the causes of homelessness and also other issues that affect us. But I disagree with the notion that it's not our concern, because it is our concern as city and state residents, and really of the nation, to contribute to advocating and advancing for changes within the system to ensure that we eradicate homelessness. It is on us, because our vote is our voice, but we also can advocate and be in service to people that are disenfranchised. And I thought that a really good conversation would spark off from this whole entire thing. Now, sometimes on TV shows, there'll be discussions that they cut up to make sure that they're adhering to the 45-minute, 50-minute, 25, 30-minute time span that they have to produce the show. College Hill is 45 minutes. So clearly we didn't see the totality of the class. This is not a live stream. It was clearly edited. So there was some things that Karlous Miller said that I personally do not remember him saying in the first episode, because as we start the second episode, they start to talk about addiction. And the things that Karlous was saying about addiction was sick to me. He was putting a lot of extras on it, and I simply do not agree with him at all. And I personally believe he was making light of addiction being a disease, and that's low. And the thing that was really perplexing to me is that we even saw Nick Young speak with Karlous later on in the episode about his personal connection with homelessness and the issue that's directly correlated with his brother's mental health struggles. And Karlous really listened to that man and still acted like he didn't understand what was going on and stood firm on his stance. Now, you can believe whatever you want to believe, but I think honestly what happens in a lot of discussions, especially in 2024 and beyond, is people listen to respond and not listen to understand. Karlous's premise, like I said again, is not wrong, that it's on the people in power to enact change and put things in place that reduces or eradicates homelessness. That is something that I think he's correct about, and that is doable. But the extras that he's putting on it and how belligerent he's acting, now that is the problem with me. And not listening to Nick, not listening to Black China or Angela White, who said that she had gone through something similar, and tried to help him understand that he's painting homelessness. That is not all the cases of it. There's homeless veterans. There are folks that are disenfranchised that can't pay their bills and they're homeless. Like there are so many situations. There are folks with mental health struggles that are homeless. There are so many different things going on that Karlous just decides, hey, I'm going to shut my mind off. I'm not going to listen to y'all because y'all are wrong. And it's like, this ain't really the issue to debate over and say, hey, I'm going in my silo. It is what it is, especially when you're in a class for it. So how Karlous Miller was acting, and I'm someone that is a fan of his. I'm someone that supports him. 85 South Show, Wildin' Out. I support Karlous Miller, DCM Fly, Chico Bean, and the crew. I am disgusted at how Karlous Miller was acting. I'm sick, to be honest with you. And I hope it's all an act. I hope this is all, I'm a wrestling fan. I hope this is all a work. If you're a wrestling fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I hope this is all a work. We are all being worked. I hope it is. I hope Karlous is having a masterful acting performance, because he really can't be this inconsiderate. And like I said, he's entitled to his own opinion, and one disagreement doesn't render him, in my opinion, irredeemable or undeserving of grace. But his approach to how he's handled Dr. Frazier and his castmates in the political science class is insane, and it's unbecoming of a college environment. How he was treating Dr. Frazier really got me hot, because why are you talking to that man like that? Like, what did he do to you? Like, all he is just teaching his class and give you an assignment, and you're talking to him like he's crazy. He had to pull you to the side, pull you out of class, and you're still talking to that man crazy when it's one-on-one. That's really wild to me. And was he really trying to fight Nick Young? Were they playing, or were they serious? Because I saw Nick Young tweet at Karlous Miller, "We got beef, bro." I guess they were playing, but like that was sort of weird too. I'm not saying Karlous Miller was really trying to fight Nick Young. I would assume he wouldn't do that, because that's sort of like, from what we've seen of Karlous, that seems sort of out of his nature, to be honest. But like, it was just that was sort of why he was acting in that scene at the start of the show, and then at the middle when they got back to the class. It was honestly, it really, truly upset me. And I felt Angela at the beginning of the second episode when she got up and said, "Yeah, I'm gonna bounce. I'm gonna get up out of here," because she was getting aggravated. I totally feel that, because I probably would have done the exact same thing. And here's the thing that we have to talk about here before we move on when it comes to Karlous Miller, is he continues to argue that regular citizens can't combat homelessness and the onus is on the folks in power to affect change. And like I said, I agree. But his class assignment, and the class assignment, empowers him and his peers to influence policy that a politician that is a Zula graduate can actually possibly enact. Like, this isn't for play. This isn't the actor showing up, "Hey, I'm a congressman. Hey, this is all an act." This is someone that actually is in public service, that is an elected official that possibly could help in enacting that change. And you're saying that the regular people of the world can't do nothing. The elected leaders can. Well, now you have access to an elected leader. Talk to him, advocate to him, say, "Hey, I believe that these are the ways that we can combat homelessness." And the whole entire notion, because I know Tamar was hung up on it and Karlous was hung up on it, the whole entire notion of writing a bill isn't necessarily hard, because I don't believe Dr. Frazier is saying go home and write a bill right now, because number one, this is 2024, because they filmed this earlier this year. So you got ChatGPT, number one, and you also got Google, number two. You got YouTube, number three. Like, you can go and figure out how to write a bill. I mean, and then y'all can get in contact with somebody. Like, come on, like this is 2024, and the regular students, quote unquote, are using these resources to make sure that they're on top of their assignment. So that sort of has irked me, because I mean, it's not like it's 2005 or it's not like it's 1992 and you can't figure that out, because what are we going to do to figure it out? And all he's saying is that try to come up with the root causes and figure out a solution for what we're doing here, and then we'll pull it all together. So I don't understand why that was so crazy, number one. But just Karlous, how he was acting, I'm very disappointed in him, and I'm hoping, like I said, I'm a wrestling fan, and what a work means is that it's an act. It's a joke, and then they're trying to get us in our emotions to make it seem real when the whole entire time is just an act. I'm hoping that this is just an act and they told Karlous to sauce it up, because if it's not, he's acting petulant. Him and Saucy Santana are acting so petulant. And I want to say this before we move on. Karlous Miller is getting away with things that non-celebrity college students would not be able to. And that's the same thing that Ray J ran into in season 1 at Texas Southern. They are doing stuff, and if it was someone that was just a quote unquote regular student, that's not a celebrity, they would have got kicked out of that class. I don't know Dr. Frazier, but I know a lot of professors that would have been like, "Get out my class." And I've seen it in person. I've seen it. Get out my class. If you want to be belligerent, you want to talk, you want to go back and forth, get out my class. Because this ain't high school where it's detention, you going to ISS, you getting suspended. No, like this is my class, you grown, walk out. Goodbye. I've seen it happen. But this is Karlous Miller, wilding out, 85 South Show, amazing comedian. So he's not going to get that same treatment. And that is sort of my problem with College Hill Celebrity Edition as a franchise. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm a fan of College Hill Celebrity Edition, and I'm glad that College Hill as an entity is back. And I'm not saying, oh, well, they should bring in students. I know that would be great, but I 1,000% understand why the College Hill with the actual college students has not come back. So don't misunderstand me. But involving celebrities can help just as much as it hurts. Because here's the impetus of College Hill. College Hill Celebrity Edition is reinforcing that you're never too old to get your education. But the thing that we leave asking often is, are you too famous and successful and accomplished at what you do to get your college education? Because you got to think about it. In Karlous's mind, based on what he's saying, why do I have to find common ground on this issue of homelessness when I'm just on the show to be on the show? I'm just getting a check. I'm just here because, hey, listen, I had some time. Like, I wanted to get a little check. I wanted to sort of see what this college thing was like. So why do I care about homelessness? Why do I have to change my opinion? It don't really matter at the end of the day, because if I flunk out, I'm still Karlous Miller. Like, why does Saucy Santana have to take this seriously and even go to class? Because Saucy Santana is still going to be Saucy Santana after the filming of the show is over. He's Saucy Santana right now. He's doing his thing. So why do I have to take this seriously? Tamar Braxton is going to be Tamar Braxton. Claudia Jordan is doing her thing. She's still going to be Claudia Jordan. Nick Young going to be Nick Young. Angela White is doing amazing. She's going to be Angela White. Why do they have to really try? What are they really striving for outside of a moral victory? And that's my problem. And if they want something more, like how Claudia said, and I applauded that, like how Angela White said, that is amazing. But my thing is that it's often thrown in our face that, why am I here? I ain't really worried about it. This worked too hard. And it's like, this is the drawback of the celebrity edition of College Hill. And I totally get that this is an entertainment product, just like the original College Hill, at the end of the day. And I will say that it is masterful. I'm clapping for them. It is masterful because they are drawing our interest and they are making us talk about it. But why would a celebrity that isn't willing to actually do the work to get their interdisciplinary studies certificate, which is an amazing accomplishment, why would they sign up for the show? Like, there are plenty of other ways for you to get money and get to it. You are famous. You are Karlous Miller. You are Saucy Santana. And there's a lot of folks that are in college that are going to be going back to college or going to college in the fall that aren't Saucy Santana, that aren't Karlous Miller, that aren't Tamar Braxton. They're going to have to grind and get it because they're trying to improve their lives. And they figure it out. They complain. They procrastinate. They don't want to go to class, but they figure it out. And you grown. You're older than those 18 to 22-year-old kids. You're older than them 24, 25, 26-year-olds that are non-traditional students. You're more accomplished than some of the other non-celebrity, non-traditional students that have a family working a 9-to-5 and they still finding time to do their work. You're you're older and more accomplished than some of the folks that are getting their graduate degree, their doctorate degree, because they're trying to get those degrees. Not just because they just want them, but because it's going to help them get economically where they want to be. And they're figuring it out. And y'all can't? So why are you here? Why waste your time? College Hill Celebrity Edition is on BET Plus, and it is aired on BET. Both seasons have aired on the BET cable channel months after they were streamed, and they're available right now on BET Plus. And they were available when they probably were asked, or hey, the opportunity presented itself to be on the show. You could have went to BET Plus, hope you got a subscription, and you could have went and watched it. If you didn't want to actually do the work, why are you on the show? Is the money that good? I guess. But why? And I honestly believe that the impetus of all of this is Saucy Santana is wasting his time being on this show. Because the whole entire situation with Saucy Santana and that toy doll that Saucy was calling a baby was insane. It was wild. I didn't find it amusing. I know a lot of folks have reviewed it and recapped it. Shout out to everybody that's reviewing and recapping College Hill. And I rock with y'all. Y'all are doing y'all's thing. I heard a lot of people like, oh, I enjoyed it. That was funny. I was hollering. That was pathetic. You did not go to a whole entire day of class over a toy doll that you got at the orientation fair when you met the cheerleaders. It's a toy doll. Like, you're not taking this seriously. Now, I'm not going to sit here and just go in on Saucy Santana because Claudia Jordan, my girl, the future valedictorian, in my opinion, okay? Claudia Jordan and Karlous Miller, they were 1,000% wrong for hiding the toy doll because that ain't yours. You're touching something that is not yours, and you didn't get permission to touch that. And playing pranks, you don't know how people are going to react to it. You too grown to be playing pranks like that. I know Karlous is a comedian, but Karlous ain't no prankster comedian. Karlous Miller is a cerebral comedian that sees what's going on in the world. He gives his unfiltered take on it. He ain't no prankster. Like, this ain't punked. So I don't know why they did that, but Saucy Santana, you are also grown. That is a toy doll. What are you here for if you're not going to go to the classes? Was the whole entire thing of him saying, Alexa, Alexa, that was funny. I'll give you that. Saucy Santana is very entertaining. But what are you doing this show for if you're not going to go to class? You wasting time. And I mean, I guess you're entertaining the people, so you're not necessarily wasting BET's money, but you're wasting your own time. You can make some money elsewhere. You could be growing your brand, doing a new song, acting somewhere. Like, you could be doing something totally different. Like, you could be resting, recuperating, going to therapy. Like, you could be doing whatever you want to do, but you're on this show. And you think you took time out of your schedule to film this show, and you're not even going to class over a toy doll. It's the epitome of petulance, and there ain't no way to slice it. That's the only way I can talk about it. Does Saucy really need to be here? He doesn't. He doesn't need to check from College Hill. Saucy Santana is popping. He has a national fandom. At HBCUs, Saucy Santana has performed at HBCU homecomings, lit up the stage. Saucy Santana don't need to be here. Karlous Miller don't need to be here. So what is their reason for trying? But here's the thing. Now, I did say that these celebrities are not treated like your quote unquote regular student. But as we saw in season 1 at Texas Southern, and especially season 2 at Alabama State, there are consequences. We saw Ray J not graduate because he cheated on his final presentation. We saw Amber Rose and Jocelyn. They got in that fight. They didn't just go back. Amber didn't go back. Jocelyn didn't go back. They both were expelled, and they did not graduate. Ray J had to go back to Alabama State so he can graduate and get his certificate. So he got his consequence. So I don't know what's going to happen. I've not seen the season. I'm watching it just like all the good folks that's watching College Hill Celebrity Edition. I hope you're enjoying it. And I'm going to keep watching too. I'm going to keep reviewing it. But I don't know what's going to happen with Saucy Santana and Karlous Miller, but mainly Saucy Santana, because at the very least, now, is Karlous wilding? Yes. Is he acting childish? Yes. But one thing about Karlous is he is getting up and he's going to class for now. Saucy Santana ain't even doing the basic part, which is getting up and going to class. Like, he ain't even doing the basic part. So I honestly wonder what's going to happen, because there's a precedent of what happens when these celebrities don't get right. And we saw in that preview, Saucy Santana went out to turn up. So I don't know what happens. But we're going to see what goes down. We already see, I said that this cast is contentious amongst each other. The word that describes this cast is contentious. And we see that Saucy Santana finds out that at the very least, maybe not Karlous, but that Claudia hid the doll. And Saucy Santana didn't find the prank amusing. Saucy Santana was on go. And they have not resolved their conflict from the war of words in the media, what Claudia was saying about him. And of course, how Saucy Santana acted on the Love and Hip Hop reunion. They've not atoned for that. Maybe it is the time, but this ain't the best way to atone for it, Claudia. And Claudia, like I said, Claudia is going to be my valedictorian. I honestly think Claudia is going to ultimately be the valedictorian. And I honestly think that Tamar is going to figure it out. And I think that Angela is going to figure it out. I feel like it's going to be Claudia, Tamar, and Angela. It's going to be a battle between Tamar and Angela for 2 and 3. But Claudia is going to ultimately be the valedictorian of this class. But Claudia tripping. You can't be doing this, Claudia. Y'all all are too grown. Every single one of y'all are too grown to be acting the way y'all acting. And shout out to Angela White, because Angela White just kicking it. She cooling. Y'all can say whatever y'all want to say. Angela White, she's become because Claudia, that's my girl, man. I root for Claudia. Angela White just kicking it. She cooling. She ain't getting involved in y'all BS. She removing herself from the situations because Karlous be doing too much. She removing herself from the situation. She ain't getting involved with y'all shenanigans. She going to class trying to figure it out. Yeah, she left out because she couldn't really deal with that assignment emotionally. I totally get it. I've seen it happen before when I was in college at Fort Valley State University. But my thing is, she's there. She's present. She ain't causing no issues. She's trying to get her education. That's all she's trying to do. But meanwhile, y'all tripping. And that Saucy Santana portion where he goes to the club, I honestly don't know where that goes. I honestly do not know. I think Saucy Santana needed to just go home and go to the club. Like, just leave, because you don't want to be here. But we'll see what happens. But shout out to y'all for listening. Shout out to everybody that watched my first recap. And shout out to everyone that's watching College Hill Celebrity Edition. Shout out to Xavier University of Louisiana. Because listen, some of the classes that they're in, I wish I was in some of those classes. And maybe I could have enrolled in them at Fort Valley. But some of the classes, Dr. Frazier got a dope. I would have enjoyed that class. Dr. Frazier got a dope class. So shout out to Xavier University of Louisiana, one of the best HBCUs in the nation. And y'all don't forget that. But listen, thank y'all so much for tuning in. We'll be back for episode 3. Make sure to subscribe to YouTube. We have more recaps coming and also so many other things coming up in the fall. But outside of that, thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, we'll see you on the other side. And Karlous Miller and Saucy Santana, grow the hell up. Talk to y'all later.
Like what you hear?
Yeah.
Subscribe to HBCU Pulse Radio on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, head to hbcupulse.com to stay up to date on what's going on in the HBCU community. Thank you for listening to HBCU Pulse Radio.